Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soulful Eclectic. I am your host, Dr. Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you to today's episode. This is the first time you've listened, watched, thank you so much for taking the time out to watch, to listen. No matter how you listening to the podcast today, thank you for taking the time out to be a part of the Soul Tribe and listening to what we have going on today. And if you are returning, I just want to say welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time out to come back. Hell, because you didn't have to come back and you didn't have to be here, but you came back and you are here. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out to come back here and sit with us and listen to see what we're talking about today. So this is going to be my electrifying Friday because I've had kind of a strange turn of events this week, none of which, was in the plan. But, my mom always say, you want to hear God laugh, tell him what you got planned, right? So there's that. But, it's great things. Like I said, we got a baby coming, it's 36 weeks, and we're just like chomping at the bit. And, with all the great things that I have coming in, it's a juggle. It's a struggle. So I know a lot of you are struggling with that as well. You got great things coming in, and Murphy's Law, whenever things are coming that are good, it's always an influx of the good, but there's always that crap storm of a bad thing that has to throw a monkey wrench into things, right? So this week I had that monkey wrench. And it's a lot to unpack, but again, I just want to be there and be supportive for those that are impacted, and be forthcoming and be supportive and show up as my authentic self. That's all I could do. So it's just so many great things. So I have a couple of films coming up. I have a baby being born, and just again, great things. But in all that, and it's not even a but, and it's an and. And with all that, I know you guys heard me talk about the anthology that I am a part of, and I never thought I'd be a published author, and here I am being publishing a chapter in this anthology, one of many to come. I know I've been working on my own personal book for some time now, and it's still working in progress, just getting it to where I feel comfortable for it to be. And 'cause I just don't want to throw anything out there. So this chapter that I wrote in this anthology is actually part of my book. So I took pieces of my book and put it into this chapter, along with a couple of other things that I will share with you all today. But I came on here today to talk about um, that part of our lives that causes us to reset. And I know a lot of us don't like to restart anything. And I feel like I am the ambassador of resetting. I don't know how many times I stopped trying to keep count of how many times I done reset my life. And honestly, I am tired of resetting my life. I'm ready to finally plant some roots somewhere and let this tree evolve a little bit better in one spot for some time. And if those of you know me, my dad calls me a black gypsy because I give myself a certain amount of time in a place, and then I move on to the next place. And to be honest, I'm at that point where I just don't want to uproot again and start over again. I know there might be a time where I need to, where we all need to, and it just happens, and it's just the universe is forcing us to start over. that's fine if it ever comes to that. But for me to just make it a choice to start over, I don't want to. And I don't want to. And that's a kind of a constant struggle in our household where, my husband's at that stage in his life where he's ready to pick up and go and don't want to really plant roots anywhere and doesn't see the point of planting roots um anywhere in particular without he's very logical. So without doing extensive research and background on where he wants to go. But in this day and age, it's really hard to just pick up and travel to random places without having a purpose, a drive. Um and again, I'm very happy where I am right now. I'm located in a place where it's nice and warm and I don't have to worry about hurricanes or tornadoes. I have monsoons here. I can deal with a monsoon and some rain. I know there is that particular part of me that struggles with the lack of water source. So with that for me, yeah, that is kind of like, oh, that would be the one thing that would say if I have to leave, it will be because of that. But yeah, I don't want to go anywhere cold. My bones can't take it. My joints can't take it. So cold is not for me. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so today is just one of those days where I just, want to share about the anthology and where it was going and what possessed me to do it. So it will be on sale for everyone on the podcast website. So the soulfuleclectic.com will have the anthology for sale. You can pre-order it, but the official book will not be available in my hands until the second week of November, and I'll post that date as well. So yeah, the second week in November. But we are launching it in St. Louis. Dr. Allen, who and Dr. Allen, they're both Dr. Glenn Allen, Dr. Deborah Allen, husband and wife team, who has produced this leadership anthology. They've produced several other leadership anthologies and individual books of their own. And I was again blessed to be a part of this leadership anthology, and it is on the Christian bestseller list already. So, and a couple of other bestsellers as well. So I am very proud of that, being that it just came out. So there's that. I know it's a Christian book and a Christian bestseller. Both the Dr. Allens are apostles, and I- anyone who knows me knows that I am not devout to any one religion. I was at one point back in 15 years or so ago, but I just find it a challenge to be devout to a body or a religion that picks and choose who they want to be a part of the religion, who is worthy to be a part of the religion, and also accepts exclusion of individuals because it's not what they see fit. And plus, to be honest, I really don't know. It's not to be. I'm going to give you my opinion. It's not my religion. Okay. It really isn't. It's a religion that was bestowed upon me by individuals who felt that we needed it because we were the souls of the devil or spawn of the devil, whatever. I really don't truly feel like it's my religion, because if it truly was my religion, it wouldn't have persecuted those who look like me and our ancestors the way it has. Okay, it would not have taken away from women the way it has. It would not have put us against one another the way it has. So yeah, I have an issue with that. Sorry guys, my lips are like super dry. I don't know why, but I'm in Arizona, right? I don't know why. Yeah, I know why. I'm in Arizona and I probably didn't drink enough water. There's that. Anyway, so yeah, so it's just my personal opinion. And those of you who have followed the podcast know and have heard individuals on our podcast who talked about religion, who are spiritual leaders, and I have nothing, absolutely nothing against any religion whatsoever. I am a spiritual person. I believe that there is a God, a higher entity that is above all of us. I feel like I am a part of that. And it's just, I just don't want to follow one religion that tells me I have to do A, B, or C and D to be worthy. I just don't, I don't follow that. And I have for many, many, many years. Grown up Baptist, went to Catholic school from being a 2-year old to high school. I've been in Catholic school in doctrine with their doctrine, the Catholic doctrine. So I know all the stages of the cross and, all these things. I've been to Catholic ceremony, Catholic churches. I know I've been to Baptist churches. I know I've been to the Buddhist temples. The only one I haven't been to is a mosque. And again, any religion that makes women feel less than, I have a problem with. So I take human nature and kindness and the spirit that lives with me, and I let that shine. I got off on a tangent and I apologize. But I wanted to say that this is a Christian bestseller. It is written with all of us. Some of the people who have written in the book as authors are spiritual leaders. Many of us are not, and I being one of them. I'm not a spiritual leader. I am a human activist at heart. And so that's what I hold on to. But I felt that being a part of this anthology was great because the title alone, and I'm going to just share a little bit with you guys. So the title alone, so yes, is Reset and Relaunched by Becoming, right? And so the two individuals at the bottom, Dr. Deborah Allen and Dr. Glenn Allen, are the visionaries behind it. And so I appreciate them for having me be a part of this anthology. So with that, I do have my copy. There we are. My copy of the book, and I just love the storm, the clouds above it, and then you have all of us authors on the back as well. So we're all listed there because we're all part of this anthology, right? So yes, so I the inspiration behind it. So yeah, I told you guys that I did start writing my book about 2-3 years ago, and I am using a ghostwriter, and who was helping me do it. And I know I could do it on my own. There's all these technologies out here to do it, and I know I very well can. I just chose not to, and we'll see what happens from there. But I did choose not to have for myself to write it, and that's okay. But the reason why I wrote the book, the chapter, and I'm writing the book is because I feel like I do have a story. I know once upon a time I said to myself and to others, like, yeah, my story is nothing. But as I have grown to this ripe age, I feel like everyone who looks like me, everyone who's a woman, has a story to tell. And it's interesting and it's important to someone and can be a part of someone's journey. So to anyone who is out there and who is thinking about writing a book and just feels like, yeah, I don't have a story to tell, just look around, look at your life, take a pause. We talked about taking a pause, right? Take that pause and just think about it. You are amazing. I am amazing. I am enough. And that piece knowing that you are amazing and you are enough and you have a story to share speaks volumes. And again, there are so many platforms that are out there that make it easy for us to tell that story and make it legible and make it make sense, right? So I said, why not? So this is the first part of this journey for me. So I named the chapter's Journey to Self, a reflective piece, because I think we all need to take that time and reflect on where we are, where we've been, and where we want to go or where we're going. And I know last week we talked about that whole procrastination, motivation, and determination and dedication for other people. But how about that motivation and dedication for ourselves? Yeah, we're so quick to procrastinate for ourselves, like I talked about last week. Yeah, procrastination is easy. It's easy. I live by it. Okay. But having that determination and those things that are going to help drive us, that drive, what drives you? So sitting back and having those reflective moments helps you find those pieces of what drives you. Now I know last week I said I was going to do my vision board over again. No, I did not get to do that. Nope. I got off the air and started doing other things. I really did. And that's the cold honest truth. I really did. And I do need to do my vision board. And maybe that's one thing I'll do while I'm helping my little one. I call her little, but she's fully grown, guys. But she's always gonna be my little one. While I'm over there helping my little one adjust to motherhood just a little bit. Because we all need that helping hand. And honestly, it's a hand I wish I had when I had them starting out. And I'm blessed to be able to be a part of that and be on her journey. But reflection is going to be a key thing that I'll be doing during that time. And I figure maybe I'll do that vision board at that time. I do need to do it, and I owe it to myself to replace it for myself. And so that's on my to-do list, yeah, as far as and other work too, because I can never not work because I have like three seeds that are sowing and that I've sown and that are growing. So I need to go and take the time and water those seeds. So when I talk about that procrastination, watering my garden is part of that procrastination. I'm letting my garden get weeded heavily, and I got to go weed it out and water it and give it some TLC. So I'll be doing that during that piece of time and reflecting. So one of my favorite songs when in the days I still listen to gospel music. Okay, let me just tell you that I still listen to gospel music, even though I am not one of the church. I still uh, again listen to gospel music, and there's a few gospel artists that I do love. Sorry, my phone was just going off and I had to put it on do not disturb because it just seems like every time I'm taping, that's when everybody wants to call me and have conversations with me. So we'll see what happens with that. So I just had to put it on do not disturb for a moment. So I had to put my phone on do not disturb, make sure it was on do not disturb for sure. Even if it's my kid or my husband is going to go through anyway. So, but anyways, thank you guys for your patience. Tell you live radio and TV it's never a dull moment for sure. So reset reflection, right? Talking about that reflective piece and what it means to me. I never used to reflect. Okay, and becoming a nurse forces you to reflect, and so reflection has been a routine part of my existence lately in my days. I take the opportunity to sit home and quietly reflect on the day's activities, what went well, what can I change, what do I want to do the next time, what I want to see differently, whatever it is. And I value that reflection time. And I sometimes I'll play uh, the 989 or 900 plus megahertz sounds while I'm sitting there in that reflective time. And I think about just different things. And sometimes my thoughts can trail off into things that have been in the past. And sometimes I get aha moments where it's like, oh man, that's what that was about. Whew, made it through, right? So this chapter is all about that whole reflecting, looking back on a few choice times in my life. And the leading part on this reflection and to this chapter, it leads me to where I was going, the point about gospel music. And I do listen and love gospel music still. Um, this song was Clay Evans and the AARC Mass Choir, right? And it's probably an old song because I tend to gravitate to the older songs. But this song here, the first time I heard it was one of the last times I was in church, and our minister of music finished his doctrination and was doing his first sermon with us. And I still have that DVD because it honestly was one of the last times I was at the church and in anyone's church as a formal member. And so it's just this verse sticks with me. And so I'll share it with you. And it's as I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I am blessed and I have been blessed. I have a testimony, right? I can look back and say, I've been blessed. I have a testimony. I never in my life would have thought I'd be one of those women. And I'm sure if I was still a member of someone's church, I would be, I'm already an auntie, but I would be that member because when I was a member of the church, I was in the choir, I was an usher, my kids were ushers, they were in the choir. Uh, I was doing dinners for when we had late service. And so I was so that member of the church. My mom's a deaconess, my brother's a deacon, my dad is a deacon in the church. It's Lord. So it's there and it's there. So I know I would have been one of that part of me indulged in the church in that manner. But as I pointed out, this verse always stuck with me. And believe me, I don't know the rest of this song. I just said the chorus, I have a testimony, excuse me. Told you it's dry. I have a testimony. See, I have my WUBI ubiquity. Oh, I can't even see it. Oh, there it is. WUBI ubiquity radio and TV sticker. Um, definitely. Anyways, so yes, having a testimony, I definitely would have been one of those individuals who probably would have stood up in the church and say, I have a testimony because I do. And this is the first part of me actually sharing my testimony. Because if it wasn't for the grace of God and a higher being guiding me, I probably wouldn't be here, let alone have this podcast. Because anyone who knows me knows that I probably just wouldn't be here. I just wouldn't. And that's the honest truth. And I know you guys heard me say in the past few seasons and episodes that if it wasn't for my children, I wouldn't be here. And that's very much the truth. They were my saving grace, and they are my saving grace. And so now, being here of the soon to be ripe age of, we're not saying right now, and that's not because I'm, don't want to share my age. I just don't want to share it right now because you guys know if you listen to other episodes, y'all know how old I am and how old I'll be. If you don't, You'll find out. How about that? But it talks about being my testimony, and I speak about being a woman. Being a woman is a gift, but it's also a curse, right? It is. And then being a Black woman, that's a whole separate beast in itself, right? So I talk about what that is for me. And again, it's just a small synopsis. Again, it's my chapter is literally 2,000 words, and I couldn't go over that. So I had to really pull out what I wanted to share. And that was really hard. If anyone is ever part of an anthology and they give you a limit and it's a hard stop, man, editing yourself, especially when during your reflective periods, you have so much to share. So many, I mean, guys, I grew up in Brooklyn in the 80s, okay? And I was in Catholic school. My mom was a young mom. I I I, I just I am, okay? I am this person. I've been in situations where I didn't know I was going to make it out of, and that I intentionally put myself in because I didn't want to make it out of, right? So it's just those pieces. So the way I just cultivated this 2,000 words in this anthology, I'm just proud of myself. Okay. I am so proud of me. I this journey, I just don't know. I don't know if anyone else feels that way about where you are, but oh man. So I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna share snippets of it because listen, to be honest, I want y'all to buy it. Mhm, I do, because I worked hard on like I said, I worked hard on this. Everybody in this anthology worked really hard. And I think all these women and men have stories to share. These are some powerful stories. And I just, again, just quickly skimmed it because I literally just got it yesterday. And I just quickly skimmed through my good friend Kathy Salisbury, who I'm gonna have her on the podcast too. She's in the anthology, and I've heard some of her story, and I know her story is amazing. And to be a part of this with all these great people is amazing. So again, my favorite part of this song, as I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I am blessed. I have a testimony. My life, my test, the things that I have been through is the test in my testimony. Everything every storm, let me say that, every storm that you have encountered is a piece of your testimony. And we know that we're going to have many storms. My storms are not done coming. Okay. Every time there's a change in my climate, meaning my surroundings, a storm comes. I don't know if it's Murphy's Law, if the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. But I know a storm is coming. And again, I got to look into that storm this week. And I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that storm. Okay. I'm not. But I know it's coming. So I have to do my best to prepare for that storm. And I'm trying not to cry, and I'm going to hold it together. And I'm not ready for that storm. But the storm is coming. So, life, right? Life definitely isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's learning to dance in the rain. And I got a hell of a rain dance coming. Because there's gonna be a hell of a storm, and there ain't no umbrella gonna keep this storm at bay. So there's that. Okay. We're gonna keep talking about the book. I'm gonna collect myself. And we're gonna take just a quick short break while I get myself back together here. I did not come on here intending to cry, but when the spirit hits you, it hits you. So with that, I'll see you guys in a minute. Take a break for a little bit. Okay.
How y'all doing? I would like to welcome you to a show that is called Cruise with Rob C, exclusively on WUBI Ubiquity Radio every Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My name is Rob C, and while taking your cruise, you will hear the very best in smooth jazz, smooth R&B, classic soul, as well as other genres that definitely define the very essence of smooth. I personally invite you to come aboard, and while you're here, grab your favorite beverage, turn up the volume, and have a seat as we set sail on this musical journey for your listening pleasure. You can find us at wubi.live, or depending if you have an Apple or Android device, go to your app store and download our free WUBI app. Take care, and as always, enjoy your cruise, y'all.
I am the Disco Bee.
I am the Alpha Male.
I am Benjamin Grimm, and we host,
From a Queen's perspective,
the seasoned gentleman,
the host of the Love Jones Cafe.
we are the Love Jones Cafe.
the Love Jones Cafe.
We are the Love Jones Cafe.
Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones.
Hey everyone, Dr. Diana Collins here with the Soulful Eclectic, a podcast about being your authentic self and maintaining your health and wellness, brought to you by Divine Nubian Essentials, Love the Skin You're In, and also Collins Education Resource Management, where healthcare education is our passion. If you're looking for a new read, check out our friend Reggie Dupree in Hoodoo Heaven, Return to Hoodoo, and Mystical Midlife Mate, because everything is happening in Hoodoo, brought to you by WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. If you have not downloaded your app on Roku or Apple or Google Play, do so right away. The Soulful Eclectic can be found every Friday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on all your podcast streaming platforms, WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So, see you soon. Namaste. Hey, y'all. Thank you guys for taking that time out. And I hope you tune in to WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV and listen to Cruising with Rob C and Love Jones. I'm telling you, Love Jones, not saying Cruising with Rob C ain't good. Rob C gets us in a day when you got to drive and do your thing, and you got to keep focused on the road. Rob C gets you there. But let me tell you, Love Jones, baby. If y'all ever listened, and look, I'm old school. I'm Brooklyn. I'm all New York all the way. Okay, WUBS, WBLS. Okay, 97.5 Kiss FM. Okay, and Hot 97. I grew up on all that. Okay, and then some. So these stations, these DJs on WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV are the bomb, okay? And also, let me tell y'all, our one and only DJ Balo, okay? DJ Balo be hit. I'm telling you, those hits be hitting. It takes you back, and you talking about reflection, you be sitting there like, whoa, I didn't hear that in a minute. And that's what I love. Not that I don't love the new artists that are out here today. Love you guys. But I'm telling you, it's something about what we grew up on that just hits the soul just right. And y'all have a couple of new artists that are out here that kind of hit the soul. Y'all heard me talk about October London. Okay. October London is like my today's modern version of Marvin Gaye. Lettucey. I just love Lettucey. I do. I went to her concert. I do love Lettucey. I'm waiting for Layla James to have hers. And yeah, there's a couple of other artists. And I just went to Melissa Etheridge concert. Yes, I do. The Soulful Eclectic is true to her name. I am an eclectic soul. So I listen to all kinds of music. That music hits right and just speaks to me. So sometimes it's not just the words. Sometimes it's the beat too, because sometimes I listen to these words and I'm like, I was jamming to that, especially back in the day. I'm just saying. And it's not just our music, okay? Our grandmas and great grandmas, y'all listen to their music. That was some stuff. Ooh, child. I said, no wonder they got like 11 kids. Y'all music was hitting, and y'all talking about us. Listen to what y'all was listening to. But anyway, I digress. Hi, I'm back. Thank you for allowing me that moment to collect myself. I'm sorry about that. You know what? I'm not sorry. It's human. It's who I am. And it just was thing. And I do have to be one of those people to stop saying I'm sorry, because as women we're always apologizing for everything. And we right, it's that whole I am piece, and you're embodying what sorry really means. And sorry means to be sorrowful. And we're always sorry. Why are we always so sorrowful? I don't know. So I'm retraining my brain and myself to stop saying I'm sorry for everything. And so I just say I apologize, my oversight, or excuse me, or some other term, but not the I am, because you're embodying that, because I am the I am for me. So there's that. So reflection. So in that whole reflection piece, again, as I look back over my life and I think things over, I could truly say that I am blessed. I have a testimony is the first part of this. And like I said, I'm just going to share a few pieces of it, because some days you still feel like you're still lost, and you still have to have those reflections. And you can never have too many reflections in a day. You really can't. I have so many in a day, depending on what's happening, what's going on, what do I need to do, those kinds of things. I am trying to write things down a little bit more, because I don't do that very often. Because like I said, you guys heard me back in the few episodes back where my husband's always asking me, so what's on the plan for today? What are you doing today? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Playing it by ear. Trying to get something done. Don't know what that thing is, but I'm going to get it done, kind of thing. So that's where I am. So I'm trying to change that. And hopefully you guys can all be a part of that as well. But, in this anthology, I talked about that, but I'm going to share another piece that I have written. And I think I have it on the blog for the podcast. I'm not entirely sure. Because I am doing all the writing on the blog as well. So for the most part, I do have a couple of other people who do chime in every now and again, but I am part of that blog. So the other piece that I did want to share with you guys, it will be this piece, because I do talk about me being a veteran as well. So something that I have written, it speaks to me. Again, a lot of these things that I have written, I don't know where they stem from in my soul. A lot of it are pieces of thoughts that I have had. And I tell anyone who's starting to be a writer, bring a book with you everywhere you go, or some piece of paper, some writing utensils with you, and write. Same thing with those who are creatives, and you're an artist, or you have that creative being within you to be an artist or a writer or whatever it is. You should always have a little book and a writing utensil with you. There's always a pen and a piece of paper or a little notebook. I have so many little notebooks. It's ridiculous. And you guys know my favorite little notebook is the notebook that I have for my children, letters to my children, for them. So that's one of my favorite notebooks, but I have tons of them all over the place with snippets of things in it that I have had thoughts about. And one of them is this piece. And I'll just share a little bit of it with you. And it's, as a veteran, I battled for a nation that never felt like home. You glance at me, but all you see is my skin tone. The suffering that is inside is hidden from view. The anguish of not knowing which country your ancestors first came from. The hurt of having my skin tone make me feel unwelcome, right? I I don't know where I was. Honestly, no. I know where I was with this. It's a much longer poem. But I where I am with this is pretty much this was written a few years back, but it sits well with us and with many of us, with me and with many of us today, because a lot of us who are veterans of color, who are women, have struggled in service and out of service. And it's a continued battle that we still fight to this day. And it's amazing to me to see that as we are navigating another election, that our skin color, where we're from, is still on the forefronts of a lot of people's minds. And I know a lot of people will argue with me that, oh, as Italians, we had troubles coming over to this country. As Irishmen, we have had troubles, our ancestors have troubles coming over to this land. And yeah, your troubles has not looked nothing like those of us of color. Your troubles look nothing like those Asian men and women that built those railroads along those of us who are black skinned. Your troubles look nothing like those women and men whose children are being taken away from them at the borders to this day. So please, I'm not belittling anyone else's struggle, but your struggles do not compare remotely to mine. Because at the end of the day, you can trace your ancestral line. I cannot. For me to trace my ancestral line, I have to dig and pay because there is no paper trail from whence my family came from. We are cattle, and that's how we are categorized as cattle, unless we were born of freemen, and many of us were not. So when you look back and you try to decipher our lineage, the furthest we can do is DNA. And that's how I found out that I am half Nigerian, with many other things, Sierra Leonean and Kenyan, because I did the DNA swab, right? Not many of us can afford that. Many of us can't. Okay. But I had to stop there because it would have cost me thousands upon thousands to find out where my family came from, what plantation were they working on, because they're all from the South. They're all from Virginia and South Carolina. What plantation were they on? You know, who bought them? Where were they sold from? What country did they originate from? You know, which notch in the somebody's ledger are they? And you don't even have a name. Your ancestors had names. So I have a real hard problem when people want to argue with me about, you know, their ancestors struggling to come over to this country. At the end of the day, their servitude looks nothing like ours. It really doesn't. Yeah, they were called some names and treated unfairly in some things, not to the extent of us. So I think that's where this came from. I think at the time somebody looked upon me that day as just a color, and I just had to release that discourse that I had within me. I had to let it out because if I didn't do it constructively, it would have ended in a different way. So with that, I sat down in my car and just put, because this was on my phone. This wasn't even written down on paper. This was in my phone. So I know I was remotely doing this. And so I just had to write it, and it burned me because it's like I stood up and fought for this country. I may not be a decorated veteran, but I am a veteran nonetheless. And as some of our leaders would say, or I use leaders very loosely, um, have said in the past, we chose to join the military. You're right. I did choose to join the military. I did. And I would choose it again. But again, we battled for a nation that never feels like home. I don't feel like I'm at home. I still feel displaced, even though in the 20, 40 years that I've been on this world, in this place, and I can call myself American, I don't feel it because there's constantly somebody out there telling me that I am not enough, I'm not good enough, and my color of my skin deems it that way. So that's where I believe I am with this. And that's where I'm sharing with that. So I'm sorry, my lips are so dry. I'm sorry. See, I said it again. Excuse me is more what I want to say. Excuse me. So with that, that's that reflective piece for that. So I talk a little bit about being a warrior, being in the army, and what my initial goals were coming out of high school. Because initially, I am a doctor. I did achieve that goal. Initially, I wanted to be an OBGYN. And at that time in my life, I did not feel I was smart enough to be that. Okay. And to be honest, there was no one in my corner saying that I was, and that I could, and that I should. None. Okay. And I love my family dearly, but there was no one who was saying I could be these things and I can achieve these things. So it was the army I went. And so I talk a little bit about that uh for just a little bit, right? And then the other piece that I had lunch with a friend of mine. I had lunch with two friends of mine this week, which is a rare thing, but I had lunch with a friend of mine on Wednesday, and we talked about politics. My friend Zoe Thomas, right? She was on the podcast. She talked about herself, religion, and it was a beautiful conversation. And I had lunch with her on Wednesday, and I told her about the anthology in the book, and where I was, and there's this one piece in here, Jeremiah. I probably have a family member somewhere in my life whose name is Jeremiah, and I just never met, but I personally look at my Rolodex. In my memory, I've never met anyone named Jeremiah, but yet this name Jeremiah sticks with me, and the name of this piece is about Jeremiah. And I did a past life regression some years ago, and I know you guys are like, "What the heck is that?" And it's one of those things that you have to be into metaphysics and ancestral lineage and all these things. And as I told you guys, I've been on this journey of finding and talking with my living ancestors. And my oldest living ancestor currently is 93. She will be 94 this year. And that's my grandmother. I get my great grandmother. That's my grandma on my dad's side. So I talk to her as often as I can to kind of get at least that side of the family's history as best as I can. So I talked a little bit about Jeremiah, and I don't know, again, during this past life regression, who Jeremiah is, but Jeremiah stuck in my head. And during that past life regression, and I just share a little bit, it was me running, and I'm running through the woods and doing all these things, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm not running through no woods. First of all, I am not coordinated enough to run through nobody's woods. Okay, I'm bow leg, and that just never ends well for me. Slightly pigeon-toed, it just doesn't running through anybody's woods. That's not straight terrain. Just doesn't help me. So, um, yeah, I don't know who Jeremiah is, but I did write a poem about Jeremiah. So, here's like the middle section of this poem, and I'll just share it with you guys, and maybe, thinking about it. And like I said, it's all about reflection. So maybe this piece too can reflect with somebody, because like I said, I know all of this is all my life at some point, and this is the testimony to who I am today and who I'm growing into in the many days to come. So I don't know, but I'll share it with you. Are you staying, Jeremiah, or are you coming? Indeed, we would and could perish here, but we'll also perish there if we return. And I've already made my decision. You have to make yours. They're getting closer while you are standing here debating whether to remain or to leave. For whatever long, far my legs will carry me, I'm going to keep strolling along this path. You see, I'm going to die no matter how you phase it or phrase it. But I shall perish in the river or in the woods if I flee. I will perish working someone else's property in the field if I return. To Jeremiah, I'd sooner run away and die than become another nigger slave. I love myself more than I love you. I don't know why I wrote that. And no, I did not just come back from seeing some movie, because I try not to watch movies like this. I think the last movie I watched that could remotely be about that is what's that movie? Harriet. But I didn't watch that when I wrote this. That wasn't even out when I wrote this. So I, maybe Jeremiah is a metaphor of being still. I know I talked about being still last week. Maybe that's part of that being still moment. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Right? So, and then there's that. So I don't know why Jeremiah came to play. The name itself, Jeremiah, I don't even know. I don't know anyone named Jeremiah, but maybe Jeremiah is the fear that lives within me. Because sometimes maybe that's the name I gave my fear. Because sometimes I feel like I don't want to do anything new because I'm scared of failure. And we talked about that last week too. Fear keeps us from moving forward because we don't want to fail. Or there's that other part that, or we're fearful of being successful. There's that. And that's a real possibility. I'm like, dang, am I scared to be successful? Because I see what is out there in some of these people's success. Not everybody, but some of this success that's out here. And it's scary. Not that I would conduct myself in a way that isn't becoming of me, or that I didn't feel proud of for my children or my mom or my husband to be next to me. I would never do anything that would discredit anything to them like that, or myself, number one. But I maybe that's it. Maybe Jeremiah is that fear that's within me that of that success. I'm still pushing forward. I'm still striving through. You see, I'm still doing my podcast. I'm still out here going on auditions. I'm still out here growing, as an educator. So it's maybe that's my fear. My fear is Jeremiah. And I'm that other piece that says, no, I'm fighting that fear. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep pushing, because at any point, time's going to keep going, right? So whether I still move or if I stay, time is still going to go, and I'm still going to perish. I'm still going to die. Just, am I going to die trying and doing the things that propel me forward, or am I going to die still? And that could be, and I say working somebody's land, but still working somebody's job, somebody else's 9 to 5, working somebody else's business rather than building my own, striving for that generational wealth for my next generation that's there. So then there's that, right? So it could be anything. So when you read the book, because I know you guys are going to purchase the book, I have that much faith in you all. So when you read it and you read everyone's story, I mean, just see where it is in your life that you can see the light in our growth and in your growth, right? So I think that's what Jeremiah is. Jeremiah is that fear that lives within me. Okay, I've named my fear Jeremiah, and Jeremiah is just nagging me to stay still and be complacent. And there's that other part of me that's like, no, I'm not going to be still. I'm not going to be just doing this. I'm going to keep going, keep pushing, and keep running and keep doing and just do what I can. Right. So I urge y'all to do the same thing. Find your Jeremiah and get Jeremiah right. Get Jeremiah right. So I'm looking at the time. Yeah, we're getting to that hour piece, but it's all right. So yeah, so think about that. Think about that and see where who's your Jeremiah? What's your fear's name? Because my fear's name is Jeremiah. Okay. I'm just gonna put that out there. My fear's name is Jeremiah. And Jeremiah can get the best of me some days. Jeremiah just needs to be on a timeout. Okay. We need to put Jeremiah on a timeout because Jeremiah just runs rampant in my head. And I just have to take that moment and just say, all right, you need a timeout, Jeremiah, because you're doing the most right now. I got this. We got this. And God's not going to give us anything that we cannot handle. So I'm always telling Jeremiah, go sit down somewhere. All right, before you get your hind parts toe up in here, right? Sometimes, you gotta lay them hands. But that, I think Jeremiah is my fear. So think about that for a minute. We're gonna go for a little break as I wrap up here. And tell me, share with us what's the fear that lives within you? What did you name them? If you ain't name them, give them a name, because mine is Jeremiah. So share with us what's their name. Okay. I really do. I want to know what's their name. So I urge you to do that, to share it with us. Okay. And I thought I'm not gonna take a break. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going because we're almost done. And I just, you know what? We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. So yeah. Who's your Jeremiah? Who's your what's your fear's name? Because mine, like I said, mine is Jeremiah. Mine is Jeremiah. But I want to know if what's your fear's name, and do share with me. I know I'm my thoughts are like escaping me, and I wasn't gonna take a break, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take a little break because I want y'all to sit for a moment and share and think about your fears. This is your reflective little 2 minutes that you get to sit and think about what is your fear? Who is your fear? especially when it comes to life. Give them a name. If you don't have a name, it could be a male's name, it could be entity's name, whatever name you want to give it. It's your fear. You name it, and then share with us. I urge you to share with us.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I would like to welcome you to a show that is called Cruise with Rob C, exclusively on WUBI Ubiquity Radio every Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My name is Rob C, and while taking your cruise, you will hear the very best in smooth jazz, smooth R&B, classic soul, as well as other genres that definitely define the very essence of smooth. I personally invite you to come aboard, and while you're here, grab your favorite beverage, turn up the volume, and have a seat as we set sail on this musical journey for your listening pleasure. You can find us at wubi.live, or depending if you have an Apple or Android device, go to your app store and download our free WUBI app. Take care, and as always, enjoy your cruise, y'all.
I am the Disco Bee.
I am the Alpha Male.
I am Benjamin Grimm, and we host,
From a Queen's perspective,
The seasoned gentleman.
the host of the Love Jones Cafe.
we are the Love Jones Cafe.
The Love Jones Cafe.
We are the Love Jones Cafe.
Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones.
Hey everyone, Dr. Diana Collins here with the Soulful Eclectic, a podcast about being your authentic self and maintaining your health and wellness, brought to you by Divine Nubian Essentials, Love the Skin You're In, and also Collins Education Resource Management, where healthcare education is our passion. If you're looking for a new read, check out our friend Reggie Dupree in Hoodoo Heaven, Return to Hoodoo, and Mystical Midlife Mate, because everything is happening in Hoodoo, brought to you by WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. If you have not downloaded your app on Roku or Apple or Google Play, do so right away. The Soulful Eclectic can be found every Friday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on all your podcast streaming platforms, WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So, see you soon. Namaste. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much for coming back and staying here with us. Oh my gosh. So again, name your fear, right? What's your fear's name? Mine is Jeremiah. Thank you guys for sharing. For those of you who did share, what's your fear's name? Because oh gosh, I'm telling you, I just don't know. The fear can get the best of us. It really does. And fear stops us from doing so much in our lives. So like I do, y'all do the same. Tell Jeremiah, go sit down somewhere. Okay, because you got work to do. Jeremiah, not today. Not today. Okay. And that's just what you got to say. So there you are with that. So the other part of this that I want to share with you, again, by no means am I reading the book to you. Heck no. I'm just giving you the snippets of the poems that I put in there that you can definitely go and read and share. So when you're reflecting, right? The other part of this is that you have those moments of clarity, and you have those moments of breakdown. And I can remember a lot of moments of breakdown for me. And as I'm sure many of you can, those moments of breakdown are, I think we talked about it one time, being on your knees, right? And just falling to your knees and praying and asking the universe, your ancestors, all the God, everything, every entity, every spiritual being you have in your head, asking them And the other part of the testimony song is this verse also sticks with me. I know the first part really just sticks with me with the chorus. But the other part is sometimes I couldn't see my way through, but the Lord brought me out. Right now I'm free. I've got the victory. I've got a testimony, right? I've got the victory because I'm here, right? I didn't let Jeremiah defeat me. I'm here. That's part of your victory. That's part of your story. That's part of your growth. That's who you are. My children are my victory. Okay, they really are. Even though like I shared with some of you that my oldest daughter and I were not connected at all the way we once were, and it hurts me, but she's still the reason for me. Her sister is still the reason for me. I those are my babies. They will always be, and my children are part of that victory. And whenever I feel like I just am not there in that space, and Jeremiah just had taken over that day, because some days Jeremiah does win, and I have to reclaim my space and put Jeremiah back in his place. I've got the victory, right? Because I'm here. I did my dance through that storm, right? I did the dance I was supposed to do through that storm, and I'm still here. So that part, that part of the song resonates with me too. Sometimes I couldn't see my way through, but the Lord brought me out of it, right? And again, whoever spiritual being it is that is part of your life, they brought you out of that. And right now, I am free. I've got the victory because I've got a testimony, and this is part of it. So my children are part of that, part of that testimony. And they are the reason I'm here, because I did not want to see them be a part of the system. I didn't want them to be a statistic. I didn't want someone else to raise them in a manner that was not what I want to see for them. So therefore, I did, and I did the best that I could. No parent is perfect. I've made my mistakes. Some of them pretty big, some of them pretty small, but I've made mistakes nonetheless. And so therefore, you have those growth periods, but at the end of the day, those kids are my heart. Your kids are your part of you, and now your testimony. So, I think the last part I wanted to share with you before we go, because I'm trying to be mindful of everybody's time, and I know I got a lot to say. I can get off on a tangent, so I'm trying to rein it in. All right. So the other part of this is the way I feel most days, and that's no one listens. No one listens until you lose your mind, until you snap, or you even go insane. No one pays attention. When that occurs, everyone will be paying attention to you. But by then it'll be too late. Nothing can stop what is about to happen at that point. Not even words. Whose fault is it? Is it theirs for tempting me and making me feel what's inside, or mine because I can't control my urge or my actions? In either case, there's no going back once something is said and once something is done. As the saying goes, go big or go home. I apologize, honey, but you have let loose a beast, and now everyone has to pay for it. I'm all in now. Let's see who'll be the first. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Sorry, my dear. You're the first to go. Where my mind was when I wrote that, jeez, Lord only knows. That sounds like a whole heap of trouble. It really does. It sounds like I was just at my wit's end, talking and doing and no one paying attention. And then finally I let loose. And now everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out what to say, what to do, what not to do. But by then it's too late. And usually the one who gets it is the one closest to you. Most times. I think that's where that one was from. No one was listening that day. And then that brings to me that whole self-conservation, right? Self-preservation. We're all, at the end of the day, I got to take care of me. I love you, but I love me more. And I've learned to love me more. And I think that's part of what this anthology is all about. Teaching us to love ourselves more. Yeah, I think so. I know so. Because I know that's what my chapter was about. Reflecting on where I was, where I've been, where I'm going. Right? That's that whole part of reset. Reset, that reflection, relaunching, rebuilding some pieces. Not everything has to be rebuilt. You have the foundation on some things. And if the foundation is sturdy, just change a few walls, build up, build out, however you want to build. And then there's that becoming, right? That light of who you are. It brings to mind, I don't know if anyone's ever read this book. I've read it a couple of times. And I read it, the first time I read it, I was 15. My aunt Yvonne had it in her library at home, and I was visiting her for the summer. And I was an avid reader. I am an avid reader. I don't say was. I am an avid reader. And it looks like a good book. And I read it, and it was amazing. And it sticks with me to this day. Again, I read it when I was probably like 15. The name of the book is Swan Song. And it's got the devil sitting there watching, or the demon entity in there watching the movie Faces of Death. If anybody ever watched Faces of Death, it's just literally war, carnage, chaos, death going on there. And then from that, you have these people who survive a lot of this carnage, trying to make it to this place that something innate within them. It kind of sounds like The Stand, to be honest, but it's got a twist to it. So these people have this mole that grows and covers their face, and when it breaks apart, it shows who they truly are. And some of people are very beautiful. Some people are just got distorted faces and just shows their true colors, right? And I know we talked about wearing so many masks and the different masks and where we are with these masks and things like that. So it's just like, man, I think that's where I was going with that. Unleash the monster, unleash the beast within. We all have a beast that lives within us. Most of us keep it calm. But most of the time, sometimes something triggers a release. And I think that day somebody triggered a release. And that's what I wrote. Because again, I try to keep it on paper. Because words are powerful. Words are the spells of our lives. And that's why I changed that whole verbiage of me saying, I'm sorry, because I'm not sorrowful. I'm very happy. I'm very pleasant within myself, and changing how I say that, because we embody our words of power. And I didn't learn that till later on in life, how much my words were power. And I think growing up, those words I used to tell myself was what fed Jeremiah at that time, right? That was Jeremiah's food, because I was the most negative person that I outwardly, people would say I was very positive. I was always happy. I was always gracious to people. But inwardly, no, there was no positivity within me growing up. Anything that I showed that was outwardly positive or happy was all a facade. And it wasn't until later on, much later on in my life. I'm going to say about 10, 15 years, maybe, that I began to really embody being positive, because being negative makes you sick. And I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be negative. So I changed my thought process. I don't judge anybody. I don't put names on anybody. And we are human. I'm not going to say I never do. I'm human. Okay. Some days I call people some names and I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. And I take it and I change it back and say, you know what? That wasn't very positive for me to say. Even though I'm talking to myself and there's nobody around me but me in my car, me walking, in the streets, me in the store. It's only me. I'm talking to me. And sometimes maybe I might be talking to my husband or my kids, my daughter, and I'll say something probably very judgmental and mean under my breath or to them, and then I'll say, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. That wasn't fair. And I say, you know what, and I'll change what I said, because it's not. I don't know what somebody else is going through. I don't know what their life is like. I don't know what led them to do. I don't know. And I don't want to know. I just know I want to change me and be different for me. And so I changed my verbiage on that. So I share that with you guys, and hopefully, I'm going to post when the book is in my hand. If anyone wants to pre-order, you can do so, and I will have pre-orders available on the website. But I just ask that you read it, because everyone, I'm telling you, they said some powerful things. They had a lot to say, and let's share. Let's share it. Give it as a gift. Give it to yourself. Whatever. Just reflect. Be a part of it. And just be positive with one another, with yourself, and there's power in our words. Just remember that. So with that, oh my gosh, I'm just so excited. I can add published author to my list of things that I am. I know somebody asked me, is there something you don't do? I said, no, I haven't figured out what I don't do yet. I'm silver. I don't swim. How about that? I don't swim. Oh gosh. So anyway, with that, I do say, please reach out. I thank you guys for engaging and being part of the Soul Tribe. And I look forward to our next conversation, which will probably be in another state, knowing me. So in the meantime, continue to take care of yourself and each other. Namaste.